Good morning, guys. Time to jump into some science. We started our unit yesterday on heat, and we're going to continue on in that unit. So today we'll be in the science book. We'll be on page 172. And when we were reading yesterday, we were looking at two important vocabulary words. We were looking at the word heat and temperature. And I just want to review what those mean real quick. So heat is energy that moves from warmer objects to cooler objects. And I told you I went to a training where the person who was giving the lesson said that things are not really cold, they just lack heat. And yesterday we were talking about how heat can move from things that are warm to other objects. So for example, the monkeys that were in the hot springs, that water was warm, it had heat. The monkeys were cooler, and the heat from that water moved into the monkeys so that they could become warmer. Okay? And then we also looked at the word temperature, which is the measure of how hot or cold something is. So a temperature is a measurement, and we saw that you can measure in Fahrenheit or Celsius. Here in America, we do things in Fahrenheit. That's how we measure the temperature. That's the degrees. So we can either do it in Celsius or Fahrenheit. And again, that's the measurement of how hot or cold something is. And then yesterday we were also talking about how we can use heat to warm up our food that we cook, which is really, really nice because there's a lot of items that I like to eat that I want to be warm. All right, let's start in on page 172. And like I said, we'll continue on with heat. It says hot light. Have you ever touched a light bulb that had been on for a while? The heat may have surprised you. You've learned that heat is energy. But remember, light is a form of energy too. Heat and light often occur together. Many things that give off light also give off heat. The light bulb is used for its light, but it also gives off heat. The coil inside a toaster gives off heat. That's how the bread gets toasted. But the coil also gives off an orange-red light. When something gives off both light and heat, we often want to use just one or the other. So let's look over here. It says old-fashioned light bulbs give off heat. Some newer kinds give off more light and less heat. Those are more energy efficient. The ones that are giving off, like it says here, more light and less heat. It says it's not unusual to see something glowing red and giving off heat. That's what the lava is doing in this picture. So not only do we see this bright light that the lava is giving off, but it's also giving off heat. So the sun gives off light and it also gives off heat. We need both to survive. If we didn't have the warmth from the sun, the earth would be very, very, very cold, and that would not be a good living condition. And so the sun gives us both light during the day and it gives us heat. The charcoal is giving off orange light and it also gives off the heat that cooks the meat. The light from a candle's flame can let us see in a dark room. The heat from the flame melts the wax. So today, after the reading, I want you guys to answer this. It says, how many things in your home give off light and heat? List some of them here. So I'm going to give you an example. Think about things in the kitchen. We already know one was a toaster. Think about some other things maybe in your kitchen as well. All right, we're going on to the next page. This is the last page for today. It says, burn rubber. Question. Can you make a fire by rubbing two sticks together? Answer, yes, if one of them is a match. That's an old joke, so you may have heard it before. However, you actually can make fire by rubbing two sticks together. Please don't do that, though. You have to move them quickly, and you must have something nearby to burn. But it can be done. Where do you think the heat comes from? Like I said, please don't try that at home. But think about when you're rubbing those things together, what is causing the heat? Let's look right here and explore some more. If you've if you're ever out in the cold without gloves, rub your hands together. The heat you produce will warm your hands. Guys, have you ever seen those things you can get at the dollar store? They kind of remind me of tea packets, but they're not tea. And you rub them together, and you have to like kind of bend them, and they keep your hands warm. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Um, or like if you ever rub your arms if you're really cold, that's going to produce some heat. So it says the tires are rubbing against the road as they spin. They're spinning very quickly and producing a lot of heat. They're getting so hot that they're burning. That's where the smoke is coming from. All right, last page. Oop. I'll move this instead. All right. It's not wanting to cooperate. I'll just read. It says when two things rub against each other, there is friction where they touch. Friction produces heat. The faster and harder the two things rub, the more heat is produced. Where is heat produced? In each photo, two things are rubbing together to produce heat. Draw a circle around the point where the heat is being produced, then write a caption for each picture. So that's what I want you guys to do today. You're going to do the question on the previous page, and then you're going to write a caption for each picture talking about where the heat is coming from. Okay, I'm also going to post a video on heat. I'd like you guys to take a look at that. It's going to give you more of a visual of what we were learning about today. And that's all I have for you today. So we're just reading these 2 pages, putting a caption here, and answering the question here. All right. Next week, remember, we're only doing science on Wednesday and Thursday. So you'll have another science lesson next Wednesday. Y'all have a good weekend.